It's the Tirconaill Tribune podcast again. It's Wednesday the 18th of August and this is John Mackett here. Declan Kerr is also with us and Eamon McFadden, and you're both very, very welcome.
Thanks, John. Thank you, John.
And we're going to look at different stories across the paper this week as per usual. A number of stories on the front page which we're going to visit. One of them, first of all, there's a 600k grant for Fanet Fish Farm, and this is a Kindrum-based fish farm company has been awarded over 600,000 in funding as part of an announcement totalling €1 million for Irish aquaculture enterprises. And this was announced at the weekend by the Minister for Agriculture, the Marine and the Environment, Charlie McConlogue. The company's called Colat Iskri Anadja Torrente, and they've got €643,377. It's a substantial investment by the company itself. They're one of the long-standing companies in Donegal, probably Ireland's best known and biggest mariculture industry, and apparently doing very, very well at the moment. Fish prices are very, very high. I don't think they've been affected by Brexit at all, but that is good news. As I said, their total investment comes to 2.1 million. And that's good news because they are the big employer in that whole peninsula.
It's reflected in the grant actually compared to the others now.
Yeah, the others there's 13 grants I think in total, and the total grant there's about 1 million total funding.
They get over half.
They get over half of that. Anyway, we're going to depart from there and we're going to visit Creasla and the church there. St Michael's celebrated 50 years last Sunday.
I know, John.
You managed to make your way to it. Did you have to use the sat-nav?
I got the sat-nav off Father John Joe there,
Yeah.
but I made my way and I was in plenty of time.
Well, that's good.
So it was good and well received. And but that was it. As you say, I suppose celebrated maybe isn't quite the word to mark it is, because, and that's what Father John Joe was clear. It was Father John Joe Duffy who was saying the Mass that it was important to mark it with a Mass on the occasion, which is the regular Sunday Mass anyway.
Yeah.
But all the celebrations as such have been postponed until next year, and that's the plan. He said there's a few things afoot to do that. Hopefully there'll be more people allowed in the churches that time, and they have a new booklet planned and that.
To what, 50 they're allowed now at the moment?
50, it's as it was, socially distanced and all that, but nothing what the capacity the church can include. Plus the fact there'll be such a lot of people will just want to be present because it's something that cuts quite a unique figure on the landscape in Creasla, you know. And this designed by famous architect Liam McCormick, the dairyman who designed some of these most famous ecclesiastical buildings in the country.
Do you know that design is just as relevant today as the first day?
Aye.
You know, I remember taking pictures of it at the time, and it was very, very striking. It still is.
It is. It's still in great condition, and all those little design features have stood the test of time, based on the idea of the outline of Muckish, much of it. So that's an interesting one. He made a few interesting observations while he was there. Father John Joe, he pointed out that Eamon McNulty was in the congregation, and Eamon was the last altar server who served at the Old Doe Chapel. They had a service that morning in the Old Doe Chapel, a Mass, and then later that afternoon they consecrated the new church with Bishop McFeely coming down. But on the way into the church, Michael McDermott, my old neighbour there in Creasla, he had said that on that day he was the person who bore the cross into the chapel that day as a young altar server, which I have seen a piece of old video footage showing that day. So there's a few links, and Margaret O'Brien was there. She was in the choir at that time. So there's a few nice links to the past and the present there on Sunday.
I'm just looking there at some of the video stills, I presume they are, of the cross. I mean, it's a very striking picture that there, because you know it tells us so much about Catholicism and the faith of the people. You see that there's from the late Canon Tommy Doherty's video films.
That's it. He has a great piece of footage that we're in the process of turning into a wee film as a part of this commemoration actually, and that was he actually filmed it from different stages. He has it as a greenfield site where there's an old place locals would have known as Johnny's Barn that had to be knocked out of the road and tossed to get the new chapel into it. But it was a greenfield site, and there's even, you can see Liam McCormick there out with his measuring tape measuring the site of that. But it's a remarkable, hopefully it'll be out by October time, but those stills are from it. As you say, John, they're striking images, captured with the time and the place and how unique the church was 50 years ago. It still cuts an iconic image today.
Yeah, it had to be one of the finest churches in Donegal, in the diocese. St Aga's Church in Burt is also, well, it's in the diocese of Derry. It's also one of Liam McCormick's designs. But a big occasion in Creasla, obviously, for everybody concerned.
Yeah.
And there's a fine set of photographs from it as well. And that's something to read this week. After that, Declan, we're going to talk to you. I understand the FAI is a new president and it's not John Delaney anymore.
No, it's definitely not John Delaney, it's Jerry McInerney, and it's a big occasion on Saturday for the Mulroy Academy, as the FAI president is coming to Tirconaill to present an FAI award. It is the FAI Club Mark 1-Star Award, and that was achieved by Mulroy Academy last year, but due to COVID, the official presentation was unable to be made at that stage. And that award is for it's for achievements and best practice in governance, management, and administration
all that
of the
kind of
football
stuff.
club. And so great work down there by the Mulroy Academy, both in boys and girls football over the years. Fergus McAteer and the team have done a lot of work there, and it's now officially now an FAI Player Development Centre. So great work there, and also, John, we're looking at
just before we go off that, an FAI president coming to Farnett, John Delaney's been here many times. It's a path well worn, and John always brought his own unique skills and style, and he had a distribution method of inviting everybody for a drink afterwards. So McInerney's going to have a very high bar to reach.
Yeah, I suppose it's a difficult time. We're still in COVID time, so we might have a way out of it.
The afters with John Delaney after the official events were the big thing. They normally went on till about 3 o'clock in the morning.
He'd sing an old tune, would he?
He would. But I mean, drink flowed very freely, and he was paying for it, of course, out of his own pocket. Unbelievable stuff. So I would say McInerney's going to be a very different character.
Yeah.
The largesse won't be flowing the way that it has done in previous times.
Well, very much so. It's been
we presume so, but
a
anyway.
low-profile start, but we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see. So just moving on then, on the same page in the Kerry Keel, I knew the old school there is going to be now community centre, John.
Yeah,
and the
like
official we're going to have open days now on Friday and Saturday between 10 and 2 p.m. So good to see that in Kerry Keel, John, and I see the facilities there will include a reception area and a sports hall and 2 meeting rooms and a newly integrated PA system and all that. So good for the
so it's a very substantial development there, because it had been converted from the original Kerry Keel National School there, and it was used as a community centre for a number of years. Like a lot of places, it just these places don't get used the way that they can be. There's probably different reasons for that. I don't know what they are, but it's now revamped in total, and it's a fine place. So if you have a minute,
great job,
or half an hour on Friday or Saturday between 10 and 2, and you live in that area, why not drop in and talk to the members of the committee who'll be there to greet you and probably give you some idea what the plans are for the future. So we're going back to another type of development now. Eamon, there's a number of towns, including our own humble town here in Mulford, has got some money for streetscape. It was never more needed, I'll tell you.
Well, we look at the main streets of a lot of towns and villages and that, and they've been just decimated in some way. So this will be good news for that. This streetscape funding is for 5 towns, and one of which will be Mulford here. The others include Castlefin, Falcarra, Burnfoot and Lahey. And Donegal has got an allocation of 320,000. That's out of the national fund of 7 million for this. Mulford is to receive funding in the region of just under 60,000. So the council are going to start looking for expressions of interest from property owners on the main streets to participate in this scheme.
Do you think the Tribune could get a bit of money to put a bit of distemper on the outside of the building?
I think
or maybe go back to the old style whitewash.
You could go back for the ye old Tirconaill Tribune. What would be there? Maybe what would be the Gaelic here?
And this was originally a attached house.
This house?
Back in the day, yeah.
Right.
There was a farrier here. He had a shed out the back.
Where the printing press is now?
Yeah, no.
Not as far out as that?
No, not as far out. Just right past the back window there, literally. He made harnesses for horses and all that kind of thing.
Right.
Now, we haven't picked up any of those skills, or we didn't even find a horseshoe when we were clearing away the remains. But
our own set of skills.
We are getting a bit of money in Mulford.
But that's it. But that money actually goes towards installation of things like traditional shop fronts and painting, and even including derelict and vacant premises too. So That's Declan Meehan from the Milford and District Resource Centre. So he's been working away on this with the Community Development Department and the council on that on a couple of this type of project for recent times. So that'll be very well received, I'm sure. And as I say, that thing is open now for property owners to get their expression of interest in. You know,
I think the
a lot
last
of towns
time-
have done that. You know, you see.
I think the last time we
Old
got
style
decent
settings
funding
now.
from the council, I'm not saying this is decent funding, it's not council money, but they're allocating it, probably overseeing it. It was probably the major development at the Market Square, which could also do with a bit of a revamp at this point. But I think it'll take much more money than the 60,000 that's available.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's wait in anticipation of what is going to happen next insofar as allocation of funding and indeed who's going to apply for it.
Yeah. Indeed.
Now, Declan, we'll go back. A story you wrote about Rosie Connolly from Ramelton.
Yeah, Rosie Connolly is from Bura and Ramelton, and 40 years ago she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and that was a life-altering change in her life at that time. And now, 40 years on, she's going to mark that with 2 fundraisers for diabetes research. She's going to be running those on the 11th and 12th of September, the Saturday and Sunday, with a busking tour around some of the local towns, and it's part of the Wild Atlantic Women trip under the direction of Regine Carr. And then on the Sunday she's going to have a 5k run and walk. Rosie just tells the story of just living with diabetes and the ups and downs and the difficulties, including losing her sight for 3 months at a stage. Thankfully she was able to get that back following surgery in the eye and ear clinic, and injections 4 times a day, all that goes with that. So
Yeah, it's a big thing for her. And I
yeah.
just heard her on radio, or actually watched her on Facebook with Donald Kavanagh in Highland this afternoon, or just before noon, and she came across really bright and bubbly. Told a great story, and a great idea of fundraising with the Wild Atlantic Women with Regine Carr. But I think males are also entitled to join. I think she invited Donald Kavanagh. And I don't know if he plays the ukulele these days, so he could add a bit of excitement to the whole occasion.
Yeah, Rosie's just asking for everybody just to give a bit of support. Diabetes research, it's a very important. It's a very important thing in terms of developments in that sector. So So Rosie's looking forward to those 2 fundraisers, and hopefully they'll go well for her.
Right, but we might now move back to the front page, given that we're running out of time and we're running out of space here. Just as a snapshot on the front of the Tribune, did you dump your mummy? Would you believe it? There's this beautiful picture. The picture tells its own story. Declan's phone has started ringing. But this caption reads, "There's been little to laugh about as the summer retreats and Fannin is left awash with the rubbish abandoned in the wake of the visitors and those on staycation. However, the discovery of a mummy in a rubbish tip at Ballywurski just takes the mickey and a little bit more. So if you've trashed your mummy, you know where it is. Ballywurski Pier is the destination.
Tutankhamun.
It's Tutankhamun, yeah, but exactly. This is an Egyptian.
Aye.
You told me.
So it would appear now. And there a pyramid of rubbish that's stacked up in Ballywurski Pier.
Yeah.
So somebody dumped it.
A barrel, the lobster pot. It's very generic, really, isn't it?
Aye.
But our lead story is the one from Councillor Ian McGarvey. McGarvey's no confidence motion in planning. And Councillor Ian McGarvey, Declan, you'll be more familiar with this, he's been promoting a number of agendas in relation to about 10 different planning issues. Some of them very controversial, but they've all gone against him over the last 10, 12 years. But he's now going to put down a motion of no confidence in the planning department of Donegal County Council after what he's alleged to be long-running issues of conflict between himself and officials in Lufford, and he has raised this on many occasions. But he's putting down this motion because he alleges that planning decisions are taken without due consideration, and there is no regard for the views of elected representatives. End of quote. The views of councillors, he says, count for nothing, and the concerns raised about planning issues are completely ignored by the decision makers. Were you surprised to see that?
Not really, and based, John, on the Ian has raised issues in relation to a number of planning situations in Ramelton and Carrygart, and down in Fanet as well. So, and he's expressed frustration with the way that public his representations or his input hasn't, he would claim, has been ignored, and I'm not surprised that he's moved now to this to submit this motion.
It's going to be a very, very difficult one to handle, this one, because first of all it has got to get a seconder in order to get any space for debate within the council. I'm just not quite sure where he goes with it. First of all, is it to the municipal district here in the Letterkenny area, or is it to the plenary session in Lifford? That I don't really know. He wasn't able to tell me that last night. But anyway, just let's keep an eye on that one, because regardless of what happens, Ian will continue to raise these issues, as he has done long before he became a councillor in 2009. But good luck to him with that. So with that, we have just reached the end of our podcast for today. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk again next week. Bye.